Section 1. The moment you stop explaining. Imagine it's 11:47 p.m. Your phone is in your hand. You've already typed the same message 3 times. You write, delete, write again, delete again. You aren't trying to win an argument anymore. You just want one thing: to be understood. Maybe you've been ignored. Maybe someone judged you without knowing the truth. Maybe someone you cared about suddenly became cold. And now you're searching for the perfect words that will finally make them see your heart. But let me ask you something. If someone truly wanted to understand you, would they need a 10-paragraph explanation? Most people believe respect is earned by explaining themselves. Stoicism teaches the opposite. The more you chase understanding from people who already made up their minds, the more power you quietly hand over to them. Think about it. Every extra message says, "Please believe me." Every long explanation says, "My peace depends on your opinion." Without realizing it, your happiness becomes controlled by someone else's response. That's not confidence. That's emotional dependence. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that we control our actions, not the judgments of others. You can choose honesty. You can choose kindness. You can choose integrity. But you cannot force someone to see your value. The moment you try, you've already lost something far more important than the argument. You've lost your peace. Here's what makes this lesson difficult. Silence feels uncomfortable. Your mind keeps whispering, "Send one more message. Explain yourself one last time. They'll understand if you just find the right words." But what if the problem isn't your words? What if they simply decided not to listen? That changes everything, because now your goal is no longer convincing them. Your goal is protecting yourself. Real strength isn't found in saying more. It's found in knowing when nothing else needs to be said. Today, we're going to discover why the people who explain the least are often respected the most, and why silence has a power that words can never match. Section 2. Why explaining yourself never brings peace. Have you ever noticed something strange? The more you explain yourself, the less people seem to believe you. At first, you think, maybe I didn't explain it well enough. So you try again. You add more details. You defend your intentions. You replay every moment, hoping they'll finally understand. But instead of feeling better, you feel exhausted. Why? Because you aren't really looking for understanding anymore. You're looking for approval, and those are two completely different things. Approval depends on another person. Peace depends on you. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Every time someone misunderstands you, you add another stone. Every criticism, every false accusation, every unanswered message. Instead of putting the bag down, you keep carrying it, hoping someone will notice how heavy it is. Most never do. They simply keep walking. The Stoics understood a truth that many people spend years learning. You cannot control how someone chooses to see you. You can only control how you choose to respond. That's why chasing explanations becomes a trap. You begin living inside someone else's opinion instead of your own values. Ask yourself this: how many nights have you lost sleep trying to explain yourself to someone who had already stopped listening? How many times have you rewritten the same message, believing the next version would finally change their mind? The painful truth is, people who genuinely care ask questions before making judgments. People who don't care make judgments before asking questions. No explanation can fix a closed mind. The moment you accept that, something inside you becomes lighter. You stop trying to control every misunderstanding. You stop defending every rumor. You stop believing that your worth depends on another person's agreement. Silence isn't giving up. It's recognizing that your energy is too valuable to spend proving your character to people committed to misunderstanding it. And once you stop chasing approval, you begin finding something far more valuable: inner peace. But silence does something even more powerful than protecting your peace. It quietly reveals who was truly meant to stay in your life, and who was only there as long as you kept chasing them. Section 3. Silence reveals who people really are. The hardest truth about silence is that it answers questions you were too afraid to ask. Imagine this. For months, you've been the one keeping the relationship alive. You send the first message. You make the first call. You apologize first. You always try to fix every misunderstanding. Then one day, you stop. Not because you're angry. Not because you're playing games. but because you're tired of carrying a relationship by yourself. The first day feels uncomfortable. You keep looking at your phone. Part of you wants to send one more message, one more explanation, one more chance, but you don't, and then something unexpected happens. Nothing. No call, no text, no effort. At first, the silence hurts. But slowly, it begins to teach you something words never could. Silence doesn't push people away. It reveals who was already walking away. If someone values your presence, they notice your absence. If someone respects you, they don't wait forever to reach out. If someone only enjoyed your attention, they'll disappear the moment you stop giving it. That's why silence is so powerful. It removes the illusion. For the first time, you stop listening to promises. You start watching actions. And actions never need an explanation. The Stoics believed that character is revealed through behavior, not words. Anyone can say, "I care. I'll always be here. You matter to me," but only consistent actions prove those words. When you become silent, people reveal their priorities without realizing it. Some will check on you. Some will forget you. Some will become frustrated because they can no longer control your emotions. Every reaction tells a story. And every story gives you clarity. The truth is, you were never asking for too much. You were simply asking the wrong people. The moment you stop chasing those who don't value your presence, you create space for people who naturally will. That is why silence isn't punishment. It isn't revenge. It is clarity. Because once you see people for who they truly are, you stop wasting your life trying to convince them to become someone they're not. And that is the moment your healing truly begins. Section 4: The fear that keeps you explaining. If silence is so powerful, why is it so hard? Because silence forces you to face one thing most people avoid: the fear of letting go. Not just letting go of a person, but letting go of the future you imagined with them. You keep thinking, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll finally understand. Maybe one last conversation will fix everything. So you keep explaining, not because your words are powerful, but because your hope is. Hope can be beautiful, but when it's attached to someone who has already chosen to walk away, it becomes a prison. Imagine pulling on a rope with all your strength. Your hands hurt. Your body is exhausted. Then you suddenly realize, the other person stopped pulling long ago. You've been fighting alone. How many relationships are like that? How many friendships survive only because one person refuses to let go? The Stoics believed that suffering grows when we refuse to accept reality. We argue with what has already happened. We chase people who have already made their choice. And every step we take toward them takes us one step away from ourselves. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's freedom. The moment you accept what you cannot control, your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes lighter, your energy returns. You stop asking, "How do I make them stay?" and start asking, "Why am I abandoning myself just to keep someone else?" That single question changes everything. You realize peace is more valuable than closure. Self-respect is more valuable than approval. And your future is more important than your past. One day you'll wake up. You'll check your phone. And for the first time, you won't be waiting for their message. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself. That's the quiet victory no one else sees. And once you experience that freedom, you'll never confuse silence with weakness again. Section 5: The day you stop proving your worth. There comes a moment when you realize something life-changing. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong people. For so long, you believed your value depended on being understood. So you explained. You defended your choices. You apologized for things that weren't even your fault. You carried the emotional weight of relationships that should have been shared. But one day, you get tired. Not tired of loving, tired of proving that you're worth loving. That's when everything begins to change. The Stoics believed your character speaks louder than your words. You don't have to convince people you're honest. Live honestly. You don't have to convince people you're kind. Be kind. You don't have to prove your value. Build a life that reflects it. The people who truly respect you will see it. The people who don't wouldn't have believed your explanation anyway. Think about the strongest person you've ever met. Were they constantly defending themselves? Or did they let their actions do the talking? Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't chase attention. It doesn't beg for acceptance. It simply stands on truth. When you stop explaining yourself, something unexpected happens. Your relationships begin to change. The people who only wanted your attention slowly disappear. The people who genuinely care move closer. Your silence becomes a filter. It removes the people who loved your effort and reveals the people who love you. At first, that change can feel lonely. But loneliness is temporary. Living without self-respect lasts much longer. Remember this: you are not responsible for changing someone's opinion. You are responsible for protecting your peace. Every minute spent trying to convince the wrong person is a minute stolen from becoming the person you're meant to be. So stop proving, stop performing, stop shrinking yourself just to fit into someone else's expectations. Stand with dignity, walk with confidence, and let your life become the only explanation you'll ever need. Because the greatest respect you'll ever receive starts with the respect you give yourself. Section 6: Your silence becomes your greatest power. Look back at the person you were when this journey began. The one who feared being misunderstood. The one who believed every accusation needed an answer. The one who thought silence meant losing. Now look at who you're becoming. Someone who understands that peace is more valuable than winning an argument. Someone who knows that not every opinion deserves a response. Someone who no longer measures their worth by another person's approval. This is the real lesson of Stoicism. Strength isn't found in speaking louder. It's found in reacting less. Anyone can argue. Anyone can defend themselves. Anyone can chase people who are walking away. But it takes real discipline to remain calm when your emotions are asking you to react. Some people will never understand your silence. Let them. Some will judge your boundaries. Let them. Some will create stories about why you change. Let them. Your job is not to manage their thoughts. Your job is to protect your character. Imagine your life 1 year from now. You no longer wait for messages that never come. You no longer replay old conversations before going to sleep. You no longer carry guilt that doesn't belong to you. Instead, you invest your energy in your health, your family, your purpose, your future. That is what happens when you stop giving your peace away. Remember this truth: the more you explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, the less they respect you. But the moment you stop chasing their approval, you begin respecting yourself. And that changes everything. So the next time you're tempted to send one more message, pause, take a deep breath, ask yourself one question: am I speaking to create peace? Or am I speaking because I'm afraid of being misunderstood? If the answer is fear, choose silence. Not because silence always changes other people, but because silence changes you. And sometimes, the most powerful words you'll ever speak are the ones you never say. If this message spoke to your heart, write this affirmation in the comments. Asterisk. My peace is more valuable than anyone's approval. Asterisk. Never chase. Never beg. Never over-explain. Let your life and your silence speak for you.